I guess I've been to the recent meetings. I've been to Riga, and especially here, I haven't heard the definite important questions completely addressed. No official studies, anything of the sort. I just don't feel like it's been given the diligence. I understand you guys are working hard, and drops fill a bucket, and you guys will get there. But I don't feel comfortable without a one-year moratorium. I think that would be absolutely necessary. There's no problem in erring on the safe side. I know some people mentioned tax credits or whatnot in relation to a time frame, but then I think the gentleman that on behalf of the wind company said they've been doing this for a year, so I don't think there's definite concern of this ending. I think a one-year moratorium to give this due diligence is absolutely necessary, and that's all I have to say. Thank you, guys.
Thank you, Cody.
Travis Lavoy, 5840 Royal Highway. Just here to do my part. You guys give me the opportunity to speak. I'm going to do so on my own behalf. I'm just here in support of the moratorium. I want to see them due diligence needed to make such a decision. And you know, I mean, everybody who went before me did a great job. But I think the time for all of us is of the utmost importance.
Travis, thank you.
My name is Kelly Smith. I'm from Palmyra, right over on Rosemary Highway. I know that my husband has spoken before at the zoning committee meeting, I believe, and I just wanted to please ask you guys to consider for a one-year moratorium. I think that we don't know all there is to know in regards to health risks, and especially in relations to children with special needs in our area. I do have a daughter with special needs, and she is prone to seizures. I am currently in contact with her doctor at U of M to get more information about this and her seizures, and I'd be more than happy to pass whatever information he gives to me on to you guys. But I do think this is something that you greatly need to take into consideration, especially when determining setbacks. I know personally that my daughter, our ceiling fan, we can't use it because the light is a trigger for her seizures. Not all children with seizures have triggers. Every child is different, and not all triggers are going to be the same for each child with seizures. And that goes for adults too. I just think we need to research a little more and just be more aware. And so I ask for you to consider a one-year moratorium.
Kelly, thank you. And if you would confer with Dr. Leonard, I'm sure the Planning Commission would be very interested to find out what your child's doctor has to say.
Okay.
Would you make contact with her?
I got your name written down.
Hi, I'm Doug DeBrink with Excellent Wind. And I just wanted to speak in support of not implementing a moratorium. This project is in a key planning stage. We are working towards moving forward. This is an opportunity for the people that in the township that have chosen to sign up their land and partner with us to build this project. And Riga, as many are aware, voted to, the Planning Commission voted Monday this week to move it forward to the board for consideration. So it's going to the Planning Commission of Lenawee County this week for their consideration at their 19th meeting. And it really, keeping this moving in a relatively timely way ensures that the landowners in Palmyra have an equal chance to participate in the project. Secondly, it is clear that not everybody agrees and supports the project. We can't build a project without community support because we rely on partners that own land in the community. But I think the moratorium is really a delay tactic. People are aware that opportunities don't last forever, and I think the moratorium is a tactic to delay the implementation of an ordinance until hopefully bad things happen to the project. So the issues have been well known. They've been discussed in the broader community at length. This wind farm while not initially approaching Palmyra Township, the issue initially started to be discussed in 2008, so it's been discussed in the broader community for 3 years. So it's not exactly new to the broader community, although it was brought to Palmyra more recently. Just want to address quickly the issues that were brought up earlier with respect to the life flight. We have letters that we can share with the board. We investigated ourselves with Promatica and with life flight, and we have letters indicating that they don't have any concerns with that. And with respect to the map there, it really shows that the locations under our proposed ordinance are quite tightly constrained to the middle of the section, so there won't be turbines everywhere. And then also just with respect to seizures and light, at least as far as the American Epileptic Association, as long as you're below 2 hertz in frequency, they consider that to be safe, and the flicker frequency from a wind turbine is
10 seconds.
well below 1 hertz. So it's been agreed by that association that with respect to that, there's very low risk.
Thank you. Thank you, Doug.
Hello, I'm Don O'Connell. I'm with the Operating Engineers, Local 324, and I did send a letter via email, Mr. Allen. I didn't send it to you because I didn't have your email address, but Mr. Easley says he's forward that you were in the board and you were planning commission. We represent 17,000 members across the state of Michigan. There are about 500 that live in your community, the 3 counties, Monroe to Hillsdale. I can tell you by experience, up in the Thumb, up in Gratiot County, up in Bain, where we built these projects, these are good paying jobs. The folks in your community want the opportunity to install these projects. So we're in full support of the development. Certainly you have to have questions and make sure that you're creating reasonable ordinances. But I think at the end of the day, this creates great value for the community, for the revenues that it brings the landowners, for the taxes it brings the communities into, with all the cuts that are being projected out of Lansing. This brings revenues that you can sustain your quality of life in your community. So I just want to go on record that the operating engineers do support the development and do not support the North Pole. Thank you.
Ronald, thank you. On the podium, please.
My name is Alana Cook. I live on Deerfield Highway. I'm a Palmyra Township resident. I'm saying it here to ask that we do the 1-year moratorium. As it's already been mentioned, we don't have to take a full year. We could take a matter of months if we wanted to. There's nothing set in stone saying we have to take that long. I think that many in our community are just becoming aware of this issue. It may have been being discussed particularly with landowners who are already aware of it, but I don't own a lot of property. I wasn't aware of it until I got a letter in the mail. I'm not against wind energy. On some extent, considered to many of my friends to be a bit more of an environmentalist. I think that perhaps in this area, and we may not be best suited to have as many that they're proposing. However, I have had several people that have heard that I'm interested in this now have been asking me questions about it. They're not sure that they can talk to. They're not necessarily, which ignorance on their part perhaps, not sure who serves on the planning commission, the zoning commissions. They aren't sure who to address their questions to. They're asking the life flight questions. Will it enter the flashing, the noise, will it reduce their property values? These people are our neighbors, and what I'm afraid will happen if we do not at least give enough consideration so more people can become aware of it, is that they will feel like we've pushed this through without their knowledge, like they had no say in it. For those of us that aren't going to be receiving any money from these wind turbines, us smaller people that aren't going to be able to have one on our property, what's the pros for us? There aren't a lot of pros. There may be pros in tax revenue for the community, which in turn will help citizens within the township, but I'm afraid that there will be more potential cons if we don't investigate this thoroughly and set up zoning ordinances that will protect sufficiently all residents. My other concerns are that the comments from you, Doug, that we would miss out on an opportunity and that the moratorium was a stalling tactic, that but bad things could happen to the project. I'm not sure what those bad things would be if you could explain that, because at the last meeting you said we lived in a prime area, that we had excellent wind in this area, that this was an area that Exxon really wanted to target, which I understand. We do have great wind resources out here. So those wind resources aren't going anywhere. So what would we miss out on? And the fact that Riga may be pushing their moratorium up, which is fine for them, why would we miss out because they're pushing for it? I almost felt like you were saying that if we might miss out on the opportunity because they're moving forward now. But if you want to build X number of wind turbines, you would need Palmyra and Ogden and Riga, all of us in unison. Is that correct?
We're working diligently to develop.
And if we put a 6-month or a year moratorium, which could take less than that, would it mean that Palmyra misses out, that the landowners that are wanting to lease would miss out?
10
My
seconds.
point was just that opportunities don't last forever.
That's all I have to say. Thank you.
Thank you. I'm Dwayne Gates, live in Blissfield over here in Gorman Road, Palmyra Township. I agree, the moratorium is a stall tactic. I felt that ever since I first heard the word moratorium. As far as my turbines, a setback like that is probably the best one to look at because they have to be within a certain setback and there's only certain spots you can put a turbine. What everyone has to realize is that wind turbines have been approved as a approved land use by the state of Michigan. So they're gonna come, in my opinion. And for me, it comes down to land use rights. I am a landowner, and I do have the right to use my land in a way that's been approved by the state, township, whatever. So I'm against the moratorium, but I think it's nothing but a stall tactic. On the same token, we cannot build any project for one person, nor can we not build a project for the benefit of one person. And I think the turbines as a whole will be good for the community. Obviously, they're going to benefit some more than others, but if you have been listening about the contract, if you're within quarter mile, half mile of an existing turbine and you are a homeowner, you will get $1,500 a year. So everyone that is close enough will get something, if that's what you're worried about is money. But it comes down to, for me, land use rights. And eventually, if we don't get to do some of these things, we won't be able to combine on Sunday, we won't be able to spray after 10 o'clock or whatever. Can't make dust and make the neighbors mad. You know, you're living in an area that has been agricultural. This is considered agricultural use. And when you're in an area that's zoned agricultural, there are things that all of us have to put up with, not just people that own just a home. Thank you.
Well, thank you.
Albert Neiman, live in Palmyra Township. It says here that we want a moratorium. I don't believe in it or anything like that. What I do know is that the wind turbine is going to give us this area and community $20 million. And am I right, Jeff, that the other company is also going to give about the same amount of money for their wind? Yes. So that's about $40 million that this area, Ogden, Palmyra, Riga, Lenawee County, Blissfield School District is going to get. Now, can you find me another company that's going to come into this area and fix our roads and give our schools in this community this kind of money? I don't think we're going to find someone that generous to give this kind of money to us. They don't have to, but they're going to. That's pretty good. Can this board find somebody that can bring us that kind of money within the next 30 days, like the win is? I don't think so. So I hope that you guys, we elected you as a township residents. We elected you to do the job for us. You guys use your mind. Don't let everybody tell you how to do your job here. You're the ones that's doing it for us, Palmyra Township residents. Thank you.
Robert, thank you.
I'm not for or against, because I don't know Dwayne Severn in Palmyra Township. And Doug was mentioning, it's been around to talk about this. I just learned about it 2 weeks ago, and a few other family members that live around here. We didn't know nothing about it until we got a letter in the mail 2 weeks ago. But you are elected officials, and just, you know, common sense. And we expect you to do the right thing on whatever you decide. but make sure it is the right thing for the people. You see how our government has sometimes not made the right decision, our elected people. So there is faults with that. And that's all I have to say. Thanks.
Thank you, Dwayne.
Hi, I'm Jerry Hassan. We got a chance to speak a couple minutes last week when you had a meeting. And something that I just wanted to simply say, since speaking last, was I've done a little bit more research on the company itself, and something that I recognize, and somebody said about their generosity a few moments ago, but more importantly, something that I recognized, and actions tend to speak